Okay, so we are live. We are going to see a puzzle battle match, a 13 game puzzle battle match between Tanitoluwa Adewumi, who is currently rated 2973, and FIDE Master Anthony Atanasov, who is rated 2586. So I'm really excited about this match and bringing it live to you. I hope you enjoy this, and I'm gonna tell the players to get ready, and the game will start. The match will start at any moment now. RDK Chess says hello. Hi. Can you hear me all right? Cool. Let's start. So while we're waiting for them to officially start, I should tell you that these youngsters are really strong. Anthony, of course, is a FIDE master already. I think he's 12 years old. And Tanitoluwa was the New York K3 champion at the age of 8. So both really promising youngsters. Tanitoluwa has a very high rating already in Puzzle Battle, but he's not yet a FIDE master or even a national master. So he's got to work on his overall chess skills. But as far as his puzzle prowess goes, he is really up there. Alright, match is starting in a moment. They've told me that they're ready to start. And Geiji Mayu wishes them good battles. Geiji Mayu, of course, rated above 3000 in Puzzle Battle. It's pretty cool. And we'll have live commentary for these puzzles and battles, but towards the end I'll show you some of the puzzles which they missed, so you have some explanation of the puzzles that they solved and which they missed, because it's really hard to explain puzzles while you're doing it live. All right. And there we go. Match has started. I'm gonna make sure my volume's okay. Both are incredibly fast. Well, it's whoa! As soon as I said that, someone did they both mouse slip on that one? Wow, that's interesting. Anthony takes the lead. knight c7, I think. Yep, and takes on d4. Yep, Anthony. Knight f3 check takes. Whoa, he misses another one. Now he's got to be careful. One more strike and he's out. Oh, Anthony's board is not fully shared. I see. Thanks for the feedback. That's really odd. Let me make sure that that's not the case. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Whoops. How's it now? Okay, that's good. Thanks. Oh, Anthony strikes out already. Wow. So, and so does Tani. So these are the puzzles they both missed. And sorry for the glitch there with my video settings or board settings. This was all done really quickly, and we agreed to have this live stream. So I'm gonna follow Tanitoluwa, and okay, round 2. So first round goes to Tani. 1-0. I'm following Tani's board here. Rook takes, check, check and takes and wins. Anthony had missed that one, but Tani solves that one easily. King g5 and takes, yep, check and wins. Takes on d5, knight d5, yep. Check, takes, whoa, Anthony misses another one. At his best, I've seen Anthony score 47, so I think he is not quite showing his best yet in this match. Nor is Tani, for that matter, because he only had 32 in the first round, which is definitely not the norm for him. And Anthony strikes out. 2-0 already. Wow, the screen wouldn't even update as fast as he played that one. Rook, whoa! Thought rook f2 was correct there. And yeah, check on a1. Nope. Check on a1 is correct. That's pretty nice. Queen b3 check and knight d3. Queen e4 is just winning. That's a pretty nice one. And he strikes out. So round 4, or is it 3? Wow. No, it's round 3. Is it round 3 or 4, guys? I still have to work on being more professional about keeping score, because I think I recorded Anthony's score the moment he striked out, so it's still round 3 as far as I can tell. And wow, Tani misses one. And Anthony misses one as well. Queen takes d3. That was a tough one. Check. Because you're looking for really complicated solutions and then it's just a hanging piece somewhere. Those are really unfair problems because it's not really a tactic. Because in a real game you would probably not be looking for a tactic in that position. Maybe you would be, but I think most of the time you would probably be looking out for these hanging pieces and stuff and not looking for combinations, whereas here you're always looking for combinations. And Anthony is already striked out, not quite giving his best here, and Tani misses one. Takes on f6, bishop c3, and the pawn runs. Takes on f6 because you have to prevent mate, and now the pawn runs. Yep. Queen e8 check and rook d7 and wins. Knight c5 and a3. Yeah, takes the pawn, of course. Takes b5, king d3 and d4. Takes on d8 and b7 and wins easily. King b6. Yep. King c7, king d8. King d7. Yep. Queen f4. Queen f4 check, g3, and then queen d2 check. Nope. Well, I know a thing or two. Oh, well, the match refreshed so fast I couldn't even record the one that he failed. But, alright. Queen takes e2 is mate. 3-0. Rook h5 and takes, yeah. Check on c5 and takes. Queen takes and bishop takes. Queen takes g7 and takes, yeah. Queen c7 and it's a free rook. Queen g3 and mate. Knight c6 wins the queen. Fg and bishop is hanging. Takes, takes. Check and takes on d8. Takes on h8. Queen h3 threatens mate and wins. Wow, this is too fast. Rook d8 and wins. Queen takes d2. Takes and wins. Wow. Whoa, Anthony strikes out already. I think, Anthony, if you're watching this stream or listening to my commentary, I think you should just take it easy a little bit. Get to the 40s. Even if it's slow compared to Tani. You're already doing pretty good in terms of speed, so maybe just work on carefully getting to 40 and giving yourself a half chance of winning that battle. Tani is on to 39-40 already, with more than a minute left. Knight takes. Whoa! What was that? I thought knight takes queen was correct, but maybe I'm wrong. Queen g7 check. This is beautiful. Queen g7 check takes. Yep. Yeah. Knight d5 and takes. Yeah. Fe7 leads to rook d1 check, and he strikes out. Alright, 4-0. Takes and mate. The first few problems are invariably back rank mates. It's probably one of the easiest, or if not the easiest mate that you would learn as a beginner, the back rank mate. So it's not surprising that the first few are back rank mates. But as soon as we get to maybe like puzzle 15 or 20, we're not talking beginner level stuff. Well, relatively speaking, of course. Both players going good here. And Tani misses one. For Anthony's sake, I would say that's a good development, but as long as he keeps his nerve here and doesn't have any mouse slips, he should be in a good position to put a fight in this one. I'm following Anthony's board here for a second. Jack and bishop g5 is mate. Queen f2 and rook a1 is mate. It takes and bishop takes and queen b4, pretty good. King g5 and h5, h4. h3, yeah. Nice mate. King takes g4 and run. Whoa! Come on, Anthony. Rook d2. Oh, Tani missed that as well. Wow. Rook d2, Anthony, come on. Oh no, he misses that one. And AB bishop entraps the queen, yeah. Okay. Rook a7 takes and knight d6, and Anthony's in the lead. And Tani's stuck on this one. Tani can't see rook d6. Oh my god, he sees it now. But that was incredible. And as soon as I thought Anthony was gonna run away with this, Anthony strikes out with one last problem, and that's game over. Knight d6, h5, and knight f5 is mate with f4 coming in first. Pretty good. 5-0. This match was initially supposed to be a best of 5, but I said no because I had a suspicion this might happen, and it did. And why aren't the players playing? Let me see if there is any. Have they taken a break or what? 13 games or 12? 13 games. Alright, round 6. Anthony is pretty quick with the mouse, as you can see. Well, Tani's pretty quick too, but Anthony's just a little bit faster. Whoa, and that's what happens when you're too fast. You mouse slip, and Anthony clearly mouse slipped on that one. I think he was going to take the rook, but he mouse slipped and he lost that puzzle. Queen g4, bishop takes, queen takes, rook takes d2, queen d1 and mate, bishop f7 and legal's mate. Rook e3 takes, take Anthony. Takes on e1 and queen d5, yeah. Whoa, Anthony misses another one. Takes e4, h3. Rook e1 and wins, rook b1 and takes and stops the pawn, knight h5 and takes. Tani already at 30. I was gonna say he's already equal, but now he misses one, but doesn't matter because Anthony strikes out again. And it's 6-0. Should move the mouse here so you don't. Okay. And he claims the win because he's like, alright, let's let's get on with the rest of the match. For the first 5 puzzles or so, they were both in sync, so I heard the same sound from both boards. So it was like almost like a slight echo in my ear of the moves being made. But now, of course, they're playing different moves, and it's not the same sound anymore. But it was nice to see that effect when they were both playing at the exact same speed. And oh my God, what just happened there? Anthony's out already with 3 strikes. This is not the kind of fight that I expected from Anthony, because he had a good battle against Geiji Mayu the last time I covered it live, and in that battle he was clearly not on tilt like this. Even though Geiji Mayu won that handsomely, Anthony nevertheless fought very hard in that match, and a lot of his scores were close to 40 as far as I remember. Whereas here it's like he's just letting Tani just walk all over him, and it's not even a contest, which is not good. Anthony, if you're listening, put up a fight, brother. Stop being that good-mannered kid that Geiji Mayu says you are, and show us your tough side. And Tani misses one. Queen d5 and knight f3 and mate, and rook b3 and knight c7 and mate. Well, if he wants to protect his rook, then come on, knight c7 and knight takes e8. Knight takes e8. He thinks there's mate. He thinks there's mate in the position, so he's probably looking at rook b7 and now rook b7. There's no mate yet. It's nice to show this one. What is this? Well, fe6, yeah, and knight f7, of course. Takes, yeah, and wins. Takes and rook f8 check. Nope. Misses that one. 7-0 or 8-0. I have to find a better way to keep score, because now I'm doubting my own scorekeeping abilities. Because sometimes I note down the score when the other player strikes out, and then at the end of the battle I'm like, did I note down the score or did I not? Okay. And Tani misses one. Knight f6. Whoa. Anthony misses another one. Knight takes d7. Bishop takes. Oh, come on, Anthony. What's going on? This is not what I came here to see. This is painful to watch. Knight takes d4, bishop e3, knight e4 and wins, bishop takes e5, rook h1 and queen h4 and check and h1. Yeah. Anthony says, not my day today. Play slowly maybe. Get to 40 at least. Show us what you're capable of. That's what I texted Anthony in the chat. And Tani misses 2 here. 9-0 already. And even Tani says he should try playing slow because it might work, because he's trying to be too fast, but he is self-destructing at this moment, which isn't helping. And both players having a chat with each other, saying, so be careful, says Tani to Anthony Atanasov, in the sense of the speed with which you move, because I'm pretty sure I saw a few mouse slips from Anthony there. Alright. Geji Mayu says, respect and kudos for Anthony. Sometimes it's tough on the puzzle battlefield. Yeah, that's what happens, Geji, when you play Jimis or Spicy Caterpillar. Pretty sure you've played those guys. Whoa, what happened there? Okay. Is this gonna refresh or no? That's odd. What's wrong? Something's wrong with chess.com maybe. Can any of you guys in the stream see the top battle? I cannot. Maybe it's a bug. Something's wrong with chess.com, the looks of it. What's going on? Why isn't this refreshing? Maybe a bug. Not sure. Can I see anything else in the live games? Can I see any of the live games? Yeah, seems to be working. Well, if they make a move, then I'll know if it's working. But they're not moving, so I guess it's a problem with chess.com. Something's messed up in their live stream or whatever it is. Well, I see some moves being made now, so maybe the puzzle battle is working now. Oh well, it's gone. Not sure if they're playing anymore. What's going on? I don't see Tani. Anthony says, I won the one time you weren't watching. Sorry, my friend. It was not my fault. I was trying to refresh the battles, but chess.com, blame it on chess.com, because I'm like, it's not showing. Well, you gotta do one more for the camera. Oh yeah, 43-42. That makes that looks like a good battle. If you have the link, you can show me the link, and I'll show it after this stream is over. And so I got the link there from Anthony, and this is the battle that he won against Tani. So 9-1. So at least it's not a clean sweep. And Tani missed these. Anthony missed these two. Cool. Alright, let's see if they're playing another game here. Alright. looking now. And as you can see, Tani's rating went low, so it is because he lost that last battle against Anthony. Anthony misses another one. Must have been another mouse slip. It's hard to say. Some of these problems are what I call sandbagger problems. They are not really low rated, they're just really difficult problems, but they're low rated for who knows what reasons. And they can trick you when they show up in the beginning of a battle, especially if you've not seen one before. It's a nice deflection there of the knight. Anthony misses another one. Rook e1 takes, of course, knight g6 and mate. Takes, well, no. Yeah, not takes. Takes. Knight h4 takes. And Liam Putnam Chess is watching live stream. He's pretty strong himself. He's 2700 or so in puzzle battle. And Anthony strikes out. Rook takes e6, knight h6, and bishop e6. Yep. Takes and knight a4, check and takes, yeah. Whoa. Misses that one. And he strikes up. So 10-1. Queen f3 and mate takes. Queen f7 and wins. Queen f7 wins. Knight f4 and wins. Knight g6 check and takes. d7 and d8 queen and wins. Queen h2 mate. Oh wait, there was a check there first. Okay. Queen e7 is winning. Anthony playing with his usual speed here. Queen g1 and mate. Looking at Anthony's board. And check and mate. 24 to 21 lead by 3, but 25 lead by 4. That's a good lead. Now if he can only stay with it. Well, Tani is catching up. Tani is catching up fast. Rook g8 and rook h2 is mate. Already Tani is almost equalized. Queen h6, right? Yeah, takes and takes. Check. Bishop f3, rook g2 and rook g1 is mate. Takes on d6, rook e4, and takes on e7. Nah, that was not it. Queen g2, rook b3. Queen g2, rook b3. And Tani misses one. Come on, Anthony. Queen g2 check, rook b3. And queen h1, yeah. Bishop g7 should be winning now. Bishop g7, queen f6. And then takes... Wait. Queen g5. That was good. That was really good. fe4. King g3. This is his game. I don't see Tani recovering from this. 3 puzzles to go. I don't think he's gonna make it. And Anthony should win this one. And he does. That's great. 11-1. 11-2. I'm sorry, 10-2. So at least he pulls 2 back towards the end, but he does, which is good. Why are you so low, says Tani. Get your rating up, dude, says Tani. Well, I think this match showed why he's so low. He self-destructs a lot, from what I can tell. And he says, I keep getting 30s, but I think that you keep doing that to yourself, Anthony. And in these last 2 battles, we saw that you can easily get 40s. So if you control your speed, you should be getting your rating way up there. All right, are you guys playing one last one, or are you guys done? Last one. All right, they're gonna play a last one. This one's for the pride of these 2 players, because you never want to lose, or not, I shouldn't say pride, I should say honor. You don't want to lose your honor. Well, even if you lose the battle, it's not like you've lost your honor, but you don't want to not put up a show. That's what I mean. Even if you lose, but you gave it your all, then there's no shame in losing. So far both players are doing okay. Bishop b5 check and queens and wins. Bishop f6 is easy. And rook g5 and Anthony misses one. Queen e6 takes and wins, easy. Knight, wait, no, knight g5, yeah. Still neck and neck, 34 to 33. Bishop g6 takes on f7 and c7, and the pawn goes through. Queen a4 check wins the knight. Whoa, Anthony's taking a long time on this one. That's unfortunate. And Tani misses one. Queen e4, of course. Really close, 40-39. So great show by these players in the last round. And queen g2, you have to play queen g2. I don't see another move. Queen g2, queen g2, yeah. Rook c7, king d8. Queen g1, yeah. Knight d5, yeah. Knight e7 wins. Wow, 42-42 each. Anthony takes the lead. Can he finish? And he does! Wow! 44-43. That's an excellent finish by Anthony. And signing off on a brilliant note here. beautiful win to end this battle. Tani played well all throughout. I must say he was extremely consistent, and he wins this battle 10-3 very convincingly. But a great show from Anthony towards the end. We would love to see more consistency by Anthony in the upcoming battles. So now I'm gonna review some of these battles that took place and the problems that they both failed. So I'm gonna have a look here. I'm gonna try to solve them myself. Some of the solutions I may have already seen as I saw the other player played out. So I'm gonna move my webcam here so you see the board as I'm solving these problems. And Tani's still complaining about the rating that Anthony's got, because he doesn't like losing rating points and getting below 2,000 or 3,000, because Anthony beat him the last 3 rounds there, and he must have lost quite a few rating points there. Gejimayu says, can you please stop complaining about rating? That's funny. I wish I could show you some of this Twitch chat. Now maybe I can try to well, never mind. I'll find a different setting next time. But alright, let's review. So h4, and the move that comes to my mind is bishop h3 check, because this rook's hanging, so bishop h3 check, and now rook g2 check, and then, oh yes, I think Anthony mouse slipped on this one and he played rook b2, and I think also Tani mouse slipped on this one, and rook takes a2 should be correct. f4, and this bishop's hanging, but so is this one. So first bishop h4 protecting that bishop, and now takes and takes. Okay, wow, this is nice. Queen takes g6, and if fg6, then bishop takes d6 is winning. Let me show that one. Queen g6, fg, and bishop takes g6, and now it's checkmate, because the knight covers g8, and you cannot play bishop f6 because the king, the bishop's pinned to the king. Okay, fe4, and this queen is pinned to the king from our queen, so knight takes e7 check, and now you gotta watch for this loose queen here, so take this queen first and then take the rook and you win the game. C takes d, and yeah, I think one of these players played queen a4 check here, but that doesn't help because the bishop is protected by this knight on a6. So first you take that knight out of the game, and now you play queen a4 check and take. If he had taken bishop takes c3, well, I can show it on the analysis board, but if, let's say, after bishop takes a6 he had thrown in bishop takes c3, then you rescue your threatened bishop first with bishop b5 check, and if he throws in bishop d7, then you just trade, and now you capture the loose piece and you win. Okay, the queen is trapped, so you gotta find a way to rescue your queen, and the only way I see is bishop c4 check, and now the queen is still trapped, but you're getting a lot of material for the queen with queen takes h8, rook takes, and rook takes b8. Bishop takes e3, and the only move that works is f takes e3. If you play king takes e3, well, I can show this on the analysis board, but if you play king takes e3, then he's got a pass pawn, a protected pass pawn, and your king cannot advance beyond the 5th rank, so your pawn on b5 is not gonna have any help from your king to advance it, and the fact that this pawn is protected means that black can simply maneuver his king here and grab this pawn, and white's gonna be in trouble. So let's see what happens if king takes e3. King c7, king d4. Well, first of all, your pawn is just immediately lost because you're not even in time to protect the pawn. So f takes e3 makes sense for more than one reason. I always played f takes e3 because of this connected pass pawn, but it's only now that I see that, hey, king takes e3 doesn't even work because he protects, or he captures this pawn. So let's see what happens if let's say I give an extra tempo to white, and I, instead of king b6, let's say I play king b7 and king c5, and now the computer is saying this is going to be a draw because there's no way for white to make progress, but there's also no way for black to make progress. White cannot try and advance because then black's pawn goes through, but black doesn't have an entry into white's position. So let's say if I play h4, oh, let's say if black plays h4, then king b4, king b6, king a4, and he could try to, if he comes to c5, then I think that's dangerous because king a5 and white's pawn goes through. Well, you may say black's pawn goes through as well, but I'm pretty sure there's a trick in the position. Queens, and now queen b4, queen d6 should be game over. No, because he has got king c6, so queen b5 simply, king d4 and queen d7, and takes the queen and wins. Okay, so for that reason, f takes e3 is correct, and then king c7, king c3, king b6, king b4. Now you've stopped black's pawn from going through, and your own king can advance very easily with tempo and push this king back, and it's going to be a win. For example, h4, king a4, king c5, king a5, and the pawn goes through. If he stays back, h4, king a4 here, b6 here, and black has to move back, and now white can simply move here and grab these pawns and win the game. King c3, and the rook on b8 is hanging, so what's the problem taking it? He takes, okay, and now simply rook e2 check and grabs the free pawn and wins the game. Queen takes e5 and check, and queen e6 was the move I was screaming for, because f5 is checkmate. And Liam Putnam Chess says, I want to play against Tanitoluwa, but he memorized so many more than me. He's talking about the puzzles he has memorized. That's okay. I mean, there's more than 1 million of them in the database, so there's always scope for you to memorize some more puzzles than he does. And this is an interesting problem because everything has to come with tempo. So rook a1 check comes with tempo first, forcing rook takes, then queen g5 check. Now if king d1, then queen d2 was checkmate. So knight d2 check now. Again, if king a2, then rook a8 was mate. Knight b3 check, queen c1 check, sacrificing the queen, knight d2 check, and now he's finally on the a file where the rook is ready to deliver the final blow, because b3 and b1 are both covered, and now rook takes a5 is checkmate. And this is nice. Rook takes e6, and he spoils the problem by playing queen d4, but rook e4 and takes and wins. But of course the point is, after takes, rook takes e6 is a discovered attack on the king, and also the queen is threatened. So there's no way to solve both problems. More than a discovered attack on the queen, it's actually just a mate, because rook e8 in this case would be checkmate, double check, and mate, because f7's covered, and there's no way out of it. Okay, rook d1, so e4 is hanging, yeah, but c5 is hanging at the end, so takes, and then c5, and now you gotta watch for queen c8 mate, so I think queen f8 should do it, queen d7, and now he's threatening rook c8. How do you stop that one? Rook d6, and then you can play rook d8 if you want and stop that. Queen takes d5, And now simply rook takes f4 undermines that queen, and rook takes f7 and wins. I'm surprised that one of these players missed that problem. It's not the kind of problem you'd expect them to miss. Okay, yes, this one. Well, first of all, queen takes f7 was possible, so black played queen g8, and now you can be tempted to look at the g6 h7 configuration and try to find a mate there, but then you look down here and be like, oh, the piece is hanging. So that's the solution to the problem. Queen d4 and queen b6 is mate. Wow, someone missed that. That's tough. Bishop takes, well, queen's hanging, so take that, check, so king h2. And now no need for any queen checks, it's just takes on c8 and wins the game, because next you're taking the bishop. Takes on c2 and f7 opens up this line, and if he takes with the queen, then he walks into this line of the rook, so that's going to be fatal. Rook takes d6 and bishop takes e5. Now he takes our knight, but his queen is hanging, so takes, and then knight takes rook, and we are up a piece at the end of it all. dc4, and the knight can be pinned to the queen, so rook d8, and now not rook d2, because then that would lead to rook d1, and our rook would be pinned to our own queen, so queen takes d2, takes and wins. I think one of the players probably played rook d2 in that position. Knight e5 and takes and check, and takes on f7 with check. And I thought knight takes d6 is correct. And why shouldn't that be? Because I thought I saw Tani play rook d1 in this position. And if that's the case, then it's a really amazing problem. But I would play knight d6 and then rook d1. I think there was a problem with the visual, the way they transmit the updates for the board, or however the software is rendering the board, because it didn't show, I'm pretty sure it didn't show knight takes d6, it just showed rook takes d1, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, here, and this is beautiful, queen g7 check, sacrificing the queen takes, well, you're not sacrificing, you appear to be trading pieces, but then why would you trade pieces when he's up a knight? Because now if you take the queen, then he is up a knight. So the point is rook a8 check, forcing king h7, and now rook h4 check, forcing queen h6, and now simply rook a7 check, and the king has to flee to the back rank, and now you take the queen for free, and now you're up an exchange. Queen here, and it can be tempting, well, it is almost necessary to play knight f6 for any kind of attack. Takes, check, and now I know Tani played f takes e7, but that loses to rook d1 check, which grabs this queen and also stops the pawn from queening. So what's the correct move here? It could just be queen takes, but then queen takes, rook d1 check, king f2, queen b2 check, king f3, rook f1 check, king g4, queen e2 check, king g5. That could be it. Wow, it stops at this point where it's unfair to some of the players who may not have seen what's next after queen e7, and it just becomes a problem of assessment, and you just gotta have a mental judgment of who is better here, and it's hard to say because rook d1 is coming, and king f2, queen b2 check, and indeed king f3, rook f1, king g4 as I saw, and queen e2, then king g5. Yeah, but you see, I didn't solve that in 5 seconds or 10 seconds. It took me more than a minute, I think, to solve that one. But you don't have such luxury of such time in puzzle battle. Okay. Now his pawns are running, and so are mine. But how do I ensure that one of my pawns goes through? Bishop d5 check makes a lot of sense because the bishop's got this square covered. So if king b4, then a2, and the pawn would have just run through. And now, can I play a2 or can I play b3? b3 takes, and then e5. Am I in time to stop? To win? e5 takes on a3, e4. No, he's in the square. What if I play f5? b3, bishop takes, king takes, f5, and then he's not in time. f5 takes, and then I grab the h pawn, and then my king escorts the a pawn, the e pawn easily. So b3. It doesn't show the point of the problem. And b2, and wins. But bishop d5 here, b3 check, rook takes b3, bishop takes, and f5 is correct. Yes, f5 is winning because the king can easily stop these two passed pawns, and they're not going to queen by themselves. And now if king takes a3, then king f4, and you see that this pawn is running and white's king is not in time to stop it. So white would have to play on pawn, but then king takes f6, and then black can simply grab this pawn and get the opposition, and then pawn wins. So that would have been a much more instructive variation than what happened here. Okay, knight f6, well, just takes, and the bishop, whoops, bishop's hanging, so that wins. Takes, and both players played hg4 here. I cannot believe you guys. I just cannot, because king takes and king h3 and takes and wins. So what have I missed? Well, I didn't have the pressure of the puzzle battle, so don't want to sound like it was so easy. Rook c1, why would you do that? Why would you abandon the f file? Because queen h2 now threatening rook b2 check, and Anthony missed rook d2 threatening the queen, and queen takes, and that's winning. I think the point here is that if the queen has to stay on this line to protect against rook b2 check. So let's say if queen c3, well, then simply d4, and then queen a1, and then black just comes closer with queen e2, now threatening queen d3, and it's over. Rook c1, and queen e3 threatens mate, right? So he plays rook f2, but then knight d4, because our knight's hanging. So knight d4 threatens knight takes e2. He moves the king away, but then now knight takes e2, right? Yeah, I don't see anything else. He throws in a check, but takes, and black wins. King takes, and bishop here. I think I now understand why Anthony played bishop e6. He was probably expecting white to throw in e6 as a defense against bishop f7 check, which is why he very likely pre-moved bishop e6, and that's why he lost the puzzle. But the correct move, of course, was bishop takes a2, and so that's a risk that Anthony took that backfired. He thought white was going to throw in e6, but that didn't happen. It's always a risk to pre-move in chess, because you never know if your opponent will make the obvious looking move. Well, I didn't even show that solution. Check, takes the rook, and now this pawn is queening. So you should not play rook takes h2, because then he'll play king f3 or king f1 and stop rook g2, and then you cannot stop this pawn. So rook g1 is correct. takes and check here and check there, and it's checkmate. Rook h6 just threatens mate, so he throws in bishop f4. Now you gotta be careful, because if ef4, then he's got rook e8 check, and we're gonna lose our bishop on g7 to guard against that mate. So rook takes h4 is correct, and then rook takes f4, and now you're up. You have 2 pieces for a rook, which is easily winning. Knight c6, and what is this? Knight takes h4. These are I can understand why Anthony or Tani would miss one of these problems, because they are completely irrational problems. Like, they are so beginner level type of tactics that it's hard for a person of a FIDE master's level to even believe that my opponent just played knight c6 in this position. So he's probably looking at a move like knight c7, grabbing a pawn, but subconsciously he can't believe that the opponent just left the queen hanging like that. That's what makes these problems really tricky. Queen h4, right? Well, bishop takes and queen takes. Wow, I think that was a mouse slip from one of the players. King c6, okay, and the rook's hanging, so why not? Our rook's hanging, yes, but rook e8, and trades off this rook and promotes the pawn and wins. King here, and rook e1 threatens this pawn, so he throws in queen takes rook, which is a ridiculous defense, and queen takes and wins. Knight here, check, and knight c7 threatens rook b5 mate, so he stops rook b5 and rook e4, so he stops that with a6, and now just takes and wins. Rook here takes, and rook f8 check, and queen a1 check, queen f1 check, and the problem stops here. But continuation could have been something like king e2, or even, let's say, even king d2 and rook f2 check, king e3, queen e1 check, king d4, rook d2 check, king c5, and queen takes and wins. And if king e2, then check, king e3, queen f2 check, king e4. Now there's so many ways to win, but I think queen e2 check is extremely simple, because if let's say king d5, then I can play rook d8 check, and the king has to move, and queen takes queen and wins. Okay, pawn takes on f5, and f7's hanging, so I'm just going to take it, and takes. Queen h3, well, the bishop's hanging, but if I take it first, then he is queen h6 check, so I trade queens and then I take the bishop, and that's winning. Queen takes e4, and now I just distract this knight by taking d7. That leaves this knight loose, so queen takes d3, bishop takes, and wins. Knight b4 check, and already we see that the rook and king are lined up against each other. So a move like bishop c3 check is possible. A move like bishop g7 check is possible, but you gotta watch for your loose rook on c2 from this knight. So bishop c3 makes a lot of sense to me instead of bishop g7, and then takes this knight. Queen g3, and doesn't that simply lead to queen takes, or bishop g3, queen takes g3, and now he blocks this, and now fg3 is actually threatened. So rook e1 check is simply winning the game. Takes, and queen takes, and bishop b4, takes and wins. Knight f7 check takes, and you gotta watch for stalemate ideas or promote to rook so that he has king g7 available. If you played queen, promote to queen, then this would have been stalemate. Check, and the rook is really boxed in. But the main trump for white in this position is this pawn on h6. On h5, he's gotta push it. So king b2 would stop rook a1 and rook h1 ideas. So I'm more inclined to play king b2, and he goes rook a5, but that doesn't stop the pawn. And h7, and the pawn just runs. Bishop takes, and well, this one's a little difficult. But if you observe that black is up a piece, then you realize that it's in your favor to simply trade pieces. So queen g5 check, and now takes and trades off this queen, and now you remain up a piece, and you're winning the game, and there's no checkmate here. Oh, both players missed this one. Okay. Oh, we saw this one. I think so. Both players missed that one too. Queen takes, and simply rook takes, and check, and takes the knight and wins. I think Anthony or Tani might have pre-moved queen takes rook there, which is wrong. Takes and deflects this knight and a2, and now the pawn runs through. Rook takes, well, queen takes h3 and rook d1, and it's checkmate. Here, well, the rook is hanging, so take that. Now he's threatening mate, so take this knight. And here it's important to play a really good defensive move like f6, which prevents him from ever pushing this pawn up to f6. And now king g8, and black is completely safe. Rook e8, and it's extremely tempting to take this rook and play rook d8, but then he simply plays king f8 and protects that rook. So the correct move is, I think, knight takes e6, and now takes here and takes the piece. What happens if he takes here? Well, then bishop takes e6 check, and now he cannot take because the rook is pinned to the king. And if king, let's say f8, then now you take here. Bishop takes e8, and rook takes on, well, rook takes e8 is simple, just check and takes, and now you're up an exchange and clearly winning. Queen c6, and well, rook c1 simply, right? But you gotta watch now, because if queen takes g2, then queen takes c1, and that'll be a huge embarrassment. So king g1 makes a lot of sense. Trade off this rook and then take, because if queen g2, then queen c1, and now the sad problem for white is that rook takes c1 is not possible, because rook takes c1 and the king is boxed in by his own queen on g2. And then to add insult to injury, after queen g1, black can even play d2, protecting this rook and saying you have nothing and I'm queening next move, and it's over. Queen b8, rook is protected by the queen on b8, so that makes sense why Anthony would try a move like rook a8 to deflect that queen and take on b1. But that is not the answer. So what is the answer? I think rook a2 is the answer. It's not either. So hint, queen takes h3. Wow. Saying, all right, you can do whatever you want. You can sacrifice your queen and make another one. I just play king g7. And how do you stop queen h1 mate? You cannot. That was not easy at all. queen here, and yes, takes and check. I saw this, and queen g5 check. So what is the point? Are you simply playing for a draw here? You might be. No, you're not. Takes, check, whoops, check, king g8 check, king h8. Queen g5, king h8, yeah. And now what's the solution? Queen takes h6. Now threatening rook f8 check. And if king g8 again, and queen g5 check, king h8, and rook f7 threatening mate. And if rook g8, then queen f6 check, and wins. Deep problem. Here, and well, the rook's hanging, so check, takes, and now where does the knight go? If f8, then well, the pawn just goes to g7, and the knight will be lost. So knight g5 check, and king f8 stopping that pawn, and it's winning because of the extra rook. Bishop e2. The queen's threatened by the queen. Well, not really threatened because it's protected, but rook takes e2 check, and e3 is falling, and so is the queen. And the last one, well, okay, we saw this already. So check, takes, and knight g5, and king f8, and that's that. So glad to have brought this live match to you, and hopefully I'll bring you another interesting match. Hopefully I'll be able to stream one of my own matches, but it's hard to stream and play one of these strong players at the same time. So looking forward to the next live coverage. I hope you enjoyed this one.